Welcome to this video showcasing Safdarjung Tomb in New Delhi. Starting off in the car park and making our way up towards the main entrance. The car park is free, however there is normally an attendant in there who will expect a tip when you leave. And as you walk up from the car park, you'll notice that there's some nice architecture on the right hand side, and often it's quite quiet along here, so you can take set photos in the mornings. Okay, so as we come along, you'll see there's some nice ornate doors you can get some photos in front of, and there's always little arches which are nicely lit up by the sun. Classic Mughal sort of architecture on the outside. There's some information boards on the left, and as you can see, this side road is almost like a bus lane, and then the road is actually the one beyond. If you haven't got your ticket online, there's a ticket booth right here, this door. I'm just going to get my ticket and then I'll come back to you. So there you go, you'll get a little ticket from the man in the booth. If you just pause the screen now, you'll see the current prices. And if for any reason there is a big queue outside, there's normally this sign just to the left of the main entrance where you can scan that. Or you could do it now and scan it, and it'll take you to the website where you can buy your ticket online. You can see where you're trying to where you're going along here. You want to go along the front road, cut in through this little gap here, cut along, and then take the first left. So I'm just trying to highlight this here, that if you come from the south, that's the best direction to approach the tomb from, and then cut in left earlier on. That'll bring you down this inlet road, and then you'll be able to come up and take the first left after the main entrance, and that'll bring you to the car park. Once you've got your ticket, just keep that in hand, or get your one up on your phone and be prepared to show that to the guard who will be stood at the entrance. He'll just have a look at the ticket and make sure you bought the right type. So once you've given your ticket to the guard on the entrance, if you're not a local, he will ask you to sort of sign their guest book, which is typical of something you get in India. And there is a little museum which is currently closed, and you'll come out through the open arches into the main courtyard. It's worth pointing out here that the fountains that you see in front of you are not always on, and they do seem to vary depending on what time of the year you're visiting. So generally when it's cooler, the fountains will be on, so later in the evenings, but also if it's really early in the morning or really late at night, they'll switch them off. There's a few signs here just showing around the complex itself. And there are some toilets that if you just come through the main arch when you've just walked into this area, right behind where I'm stood, you'll see the toilets here. They're free public conveniences, so if you need them. So this is the main area that you'll come out into once you've gone through the archway into the courtyard. And it's worth saying at this point that this is obviously a tomb, and like with many of the monuments of Delhi and India as a whole, it's worth being respectful at all times. So that means covering up, wear appropriate clothing, and just being respectful to those around you. So although this may look like a nice area and there might be a lot of tourists, make sure you're dressed appropriately and setting the right example. So here we are now approaching the higher level. There are some quite steep steps, and this is the only way up onto the higher level. There are a few sets of these around the square itself, but to make you aware that if you're not able-bodied, then this might not be part of your trip. But it's still worth a visit. You can still see the main monument. And this is the higher level plaza. You can see right back down to the main entrance and to the mosque that sits in the corner. So I'm now going to head inside the main tomb itself, and this is at the higher level. The lower level is locked, and the higher level is almost an exact replica of what you're seeing beneath. It's the same as most of these tombs that are from the Mughal sort of period, where you have the replica above, and then below at that ground level is where the remains are actually kept. And you can walk through the tomb. Normally it's completely open, apart from they're doing some work on it at the moment and just cleaning, but there are some little steps to walk over, so again, just be careful when you're walking around. If you're wanting to visit the tomb when it's slightly quieter, it tends to be quietest first thing in the mornings, and it also is cooler, so it's a good time to visit. However, if you visit during the sunset hours, it will be busier, but you'll get better wildlife and generally better photos. I visited here around 4 o'clock, so you'll see the sunset. So it is worth coming at around dusk time, which is when I've arrived, around 4 or 5 o'clock, because they do light this up in the evenings, and it's quite impressive when they do, and it tends to be a time when the fountains are on. And then once you've finished up on the top level, you can come back down to the main courtyard area around the outside, and it's worth having a little wander around. It is very similar on all the sides, so you've sort of seen the main view, but there's some extra little information, and also there is some impressive doors that you can get photos in front of, and there's also a mosque. Apart from the main mosque, which you'll see behind you when you walk through the main entrance, outside the courtyard there isn't really much to see, other than a few more information signs and benches where it's very pleasant in the winter months to have a picnic or to sit and take a view of the overall structure. When you're leaving, don't forget to visit the gift shop if it's open. And that's about it for this video, so thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you.